What's going on, family? Back with another JT's Mixtape, episode number 27. And if you guys are enjoying these podcasts, please give me a 5-star review on either Apple or Spotify. And if you're watching on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. Thank you. Oh, and hey, while I got your attention, are you guys looking to get healthy? Are you guys experiencing any fatigue or brain fog? Yes to both? Well, allow me to tell you about our sponsor, Modern Roots Life. They sell all natural health supplements. They're third-party tested. It's a great Christian-owned and operated company, and they're members of this very community. They sell a wide variety of products such as cod liver, beef tallow, magnesium, copper, and natural salts. Too many products to name here, but they're all great. So if you guys are looking to get healthy, or you already buy natural health supplements, please consider switching to Modern Roots Life, because you can support a great Christian-owned company, you can support this podcast, and you could potentially support your own health, which in my book would be a win-win-win. So check out the link in my description. Give them a look. Modern Roots Life. Thank you and love you guys. Let's start the show.
Come closer, my child.
What's going on, Brian?
What's going on? Nothing much, man. Just your hair's going on, obviously. But it looks great. It looks great.
That's the biggest news in my neck of the woods. Is that I got a haircut finally, which is kind of funny because it wasn't really the intention. It was the intention was to get a little trim.
Yeah.
And it turned into a mullet.
Nice. Looks legit. Looks great.
Yeah,
bro.
it was. Thanks. Yeah. So it turned into a mullet, and then it was just like there was just no turning back. I was like, I could either rock the mullet, or I could have said, it's time for the great reset on the hair. It will grow out. And the funny part was that I posted on the audio podcast I think, was it on Monday? I posted the conversation we had about Revelation being written for us, but not to us. And someone was commenting on Brian's hair. So we had that conversation about how I did not intend to cut my hair. And they were like, what do you mean? You just said you weren't going to cut your hair. Again, it was not my intention. But I would say, as Bob Ross famously said, sometimes there's happy little accidents that I tried to get a trim, didn't work out. So I went back short. I've had short hair almost my whole life. So like just the long hair is only like a new revelation. And
new revelation. I love it.
Yeah, I'll probably grow it back out a little bit, but maybe a little more maintained, because I said if Lord willing, if I move out west where the humidity's low, I'll be rocking the long hair. But out east, especially being in Florida, it's just not going to happen. It's too poofy. The frizz is out of control.
Yeah, come over to California, bro. I mean, it's like perfect here.
Yeah,
except for
I would say the climate's perfect.
Except
maybe the policies, some of the crazies. Well, they always say that California is filled with fruits and nuts.
Lots of them.
Yeah, in more ways than one. So yeah, so obviously the real big news this week is the Pope, Saint Francis. They call him Saint Francis. Is he a saint, or they just call him Pope Francis or
Pope Francis?
I don't want to saint him early.
Yeah, I think
saint him at all.
I think he's Pope Francis, but he could be.
Sorry, yeah, I misspoke. Pope Francis is no longer with us in the land of the living. Anyways,
we have to be very respectful about the passing of this man, because commenters last time were very upset that we mocked somebody. We laughed at somebody being dead, I think, or something. So we're not joking, even though we're laughing. I just wanted to throw this disclaimer out there. We're not making fun of it, but this is interesting.
It's a natural part of life for everyone to die. Like Solomon says, there's a time to live and there's a time to die. Saint Francis died. And, I'm not one of these kind of people who tap dance on people's graves either. So, I mean, we talk about a lot of dark stuff when we laugh a little bit, just because we're just because it's a podcast and we're just spitballing most of the time and we just crack each other up. But no, I don't. I take no pleasure in anybody dying. So whether he was a good pope or not, I mean, I would say that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've never experienced in my lifetime a good pope. So, I mean, he was probably worse than the other ones that I know of.
Well, he did introduce a lot of perversion and distortion, and he did cover up a mass human trafficking ring that he basically like acquitted a bunch of the priests that he put into positions that he himself directly put people in, and then they got accused of child molestation. And then there was a giant ring of it connected to Israel, by the way. Did you know that? The ring was connected to Israel. There was also
no. I mean, that's a shock. That's a shocker, though. That's a big shock that it was, because what's not connected to them at some point.
But yeah, so he covered it all up, though. He covered it all up, and he covered up some other stuff. And he also didn't he say something about the like promoting homosexuality in the thing, or I forget what he said about that.
He did seem very supportive of LGBTQ, the agenda with that, and I know that. He was even supporting, an artist that was putting like a crucifix in urine, things like that. Oh yeah, he supported all kinds of very nefarious things. He was a big proponent of the, let's just say, Operation Warp Speed, and he was saying like that was basically our Christian duty to get that thing. That will be unnamed on this podcast, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that he seemed very, let's just say, progressive. Which Christian conservatism. That's good. Being Christian is should go hand in hand with being conservative, because like if we believe that God has a standard, well, the world is trying to move away from God's standard. So we're trying to conserve what God has said is true and right, despite what the world may say. And he seemed like he was very on the force of pushing the church in everything in order to border. Yeah, going along with whatever the world says. And it's like that's not how God works. What men want to do isn't always good, and typically what they want to do is not good.
And what they did to children is definitely not good. We'll just say that.
Well,
much.
I mean, obviously the Catholic Church has that stain on it about it. Yeah, the scandals revolving priests and little boys, covering that kind of stuff up.
I don't even know how this is like it's a stereotype for a reason. Like, how has this not like been like so like very obviously explained to the point where people are like why are we not shocked about that kind of stuff? Like it's there's something wrong, guys. There's something wrong there, and it's pretty obvious.
Well, it was a shock, I think, when it first came out, and I guess that was years ago. Was that like in the 80s or like early 90s?
Yes, it was a long time ago.
That story really broke. And yeah, I mean, they covered it up. And I think that the real bad part is that the world will paint all Christians with that brush. Oh, here's what Christians did. We'd be like, no. We didn't all do that. And I'm not going to defend everything the Protestant church has done or hasn't done. But yeah, like that's the dangerous part when you have like this being the face of Christianity to the world. It's not. I mean, obviously the face of Christianity is Christ, right? And resembling him. And so like people get turned off by like organized religions because of the Vatican, people like that. I mean, like that's the kind of thing. And it's like, I won't defend the Kenneth Copelands and all the other like big mega church leaders and stuff like that either. I'm not saying they're good, but these are the most prominent voices of supposed Christianity are not always representing Christ. So we don't defend that kind of stuff. But with that being said, let's share one of these videos about this. We've got a few. We got a lot to choose from.
Yeah. So we got to talk about this. So Pope Francis dies at the age of 88 from battling with double pneumonia. So let's rewind. The Pope was in the hospital for 38 days on his deathbed. Critical. It was a moment where the doctors was like, he not gonna last. He not gonna make it through the night. Now remember like it was yesterday. Every news outlet was talking about Pope Francis maybe passing away that night. But miraculously, he proved them wrong by making it through the next day when people said he wouldn't. They told him he was going to be feeling ill for a little while. They said he probably wasn't going to be able to get up and be mobile for at least 2 months. They wanted him to rest for 2 months, y'all. But guess what? He started feeling better and he discharged. He discharged from the hospital, y'all. So he got back on his grind. He like, y'all can't stop me from God's work. So he was back at work like nothing ever happened. But here's the thing. Right before he passed, he had a meeting with J.D. Vance. It was a so-called private meeting, but they said they were talking about humanitarian stuff. But then boom, y'all, the next day, he's gone. They say he went peacefully. I don't know, y'all. Something don't feel right. Let's go a little deeper. Everything started to change this day. Y'all remember when he opened them holy doors? I made a couple videos on this. He opened those doors and he invited the whole world to walk in with him. But after this, let me know if I'm tripping. This is when everything went downhill, y'all. I believe he opened one of the holy doors that has never been opened, or hasn't been opened in a while, a long ass time. And then all of a sudden, he started going downhill getting sick? This is what I want to know. If he was still so sick like they said he was, why did they let him discharge from the hospital early? I'm confused. All in all, RIP to Pope Francis, y'all. But something is not adding up.
What do you think, Brian? What do you think? I had wondered that too. I said, it is pretty interesting that he was opening that Lucifer portal or something. And he was opening that thing that was some kind of Paul portal. Wasn't it something to like St. Paul? But it was also, obviously the big news was that he was opening some portal to the Lucifer chamber or something like that. That something hadn't been open in like 500 years. Sort of weird.
That's pretty weird. There's a lot of speculative things. I mean, maybe he let something out that required life. I mean, demons require payment. So maybe the demon was like, "You're gonna die because whatever you want, this is my payment." I don't know. I feel like the Pope's probably children though before, so I don't know. Like, to be completely honest, I feel like he probably has been in that
allegedly. That's a wild speculation. We don't know.
We're just
no evidence of that.
Yeah, no, we're just throwing I feel likes out there. So I don't know. Just saying, seems kind of like the type of character that might be involved in some of these type of rituals. So I don't know what. I mean, like, maybe he opened a door. Maybe they probably did some other kind of ritual there. Who knows what they did with that door thing? I don't know.
Well, why was that door sealed for? I think that wasn't it? Was I right about it? Wasn't it 500 years or something like that?
You know what I think's more interesting is the fact that there's there's these murals all the way across the center.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that. Let's stick on this.
Okay.
So do you think that? I mean, that's my thought, because it's like straight out of a movie, right?
Yeah.
Oh, they sealed this thing up. They're never going to open this again. They open this thing up, and it's kind of like we discussed with Max Powers about the curse of King Tut's tomb.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they open up this thing that was supposed to be sealed up. They did some kind of ritual to seal it up, to trap some entity, some demon, the demon of Lucifer or whatever.
The pneumonia demon.
This thing comes on him and he gets sick almost immediately, right? Because, I mean, obviously it's only April. That was right around Christmas time that he did that.
December, January, February, March, April. So 5 months ago.
Yeah. Well, I mean, less than 5 months ago, because it was right around Christmas.
Yeah.
Oh, so more like 4 months ago. But yeah, he got sick and then he passed away. After, he got discharged from the hospital, meets with J.D. Vance, and he dies like the next day, something like that.
I don't know. J.D. Vance is a interesting character in and of itself. I don't know if he's just like those really dark eyes. I feel like he's wearing makeup or something.
Guy liner.
Does it feel like that, or is that just?
He does look like he's got guy liner on.
Maybe he's got. He's got really good eyelashes. We'll just say.
I feel like that. It's not unusual for people probably who get photographed a lot to be wearing makeup. It is still.
You think he's wearing makeup? It
Yeah,
does seem like
I
it.
think they all are. I mean, obviously, you've ever seen like Trump, like this, his face to his neck, and it's just like
Yeah, it's like two
it's like
different
they
colors.
make him more orange
Yeah,
for some
it's like-
reason.
Yeah, it is pretty funny. It's totally two different colors. It's like totally
Yeah,
totally
big time.
different sometimes.
Well, you know, they say like when you go like if you were like on a television set, like the lights are so bright, people get washed out, and that's why they wear makeup. It's still lame to do that.
It's still lame
Yeah,
to wear makeup.
It's still really lame and femme to do that. But yeah, let's watch another video. We got a few more. This is going to be from my friend Seven Club.
So Pope Francis passes away at 88 years old on what they're calling Resurrection Monday, dying on Easter Monday. So my conspiratorial mind wants to look at the number 8, and in Christian numerology, it means new beginnings or resurrection or regeneration. Says he died less than 24 hours after appearing in a wheelchair at the St. Peter's Square to lead an Easter address in front of thousands of worshippers. So you know me, I want to look for other breaking news that has 88 in it. And of course, Klaus Schwab resigning at 88 years old. Guess how many years before retirement? After 55 years. 88, 55. Means he began at age 33. Oh, man. But back to the Pope. 88, new beginnings, resurrection. So at the Vatican, they have all the Pope's photographs on these murals around the Vatican. Pope Francis just passed away, and there's only one blank spot left. So does the 88 mean anything? New beginnings, resurrection, new world order, 88. Wait a second. Could that spot be reserved for a new world religious leader?
Yeah,
Pretty suspicious.
That's pretty weird. You know, we'll get to Klaus Schwab in a second because I think that's pretty significant that this happened at the same time too. But yeah, so what do you think about that, Brian? About that there's one mural left. Also, maybe even the significance of 88.
You know, I'm not one that holds a lot of their numerology theories into like high credence because they've got so many numbers for everything. So like,
Right,
I'm
you
not,
could
like
you could swing a dead cat and you could hit one of the numbers that
one of their
means
magic
something.
numbers. So I'm just like, yeah, the number thing to me is like, yeah, whatever. But you know, it's when it hits 33 and then that number, when you see that all over the place, that one seems to be a significant one I notice. So if I see 33, I'm like, or sometimes 11. Okay, those are the ones that I notice more often.
9/11.
Yeah. I notice these ones most often, we'll say 9, 11, 33, these ones. Okay. But the other than that, all the other numbers, I've never even heard 88 before as this magic number. I've never even heard this. And I've studied the occult for a long time. So like, it's like, I think you can pull a number out your butt and it can be a magic number at this point. Like, this is ridiculous. So the 88 to me is not that big significance. I think that might just be a coincidence, and maybe.
Have you ever heard that? I'm pretty sure that 88 is connected to Saturn.
Yeah, well, it's the infinity symbol. The 8 is
right. Yeah, so time, infinity. So in the mythologies,
Double
Saturn,
infinity.
another name for him was Chronos, Father Time.
Yeah.
So you have 88. You know, so like you have the movies like Back to the Future, where you go 88 in the DeLorean to go back in time.
Was it 88?
88 miles an hour.
Are you
yeah.
sure?
I'm 100% positive.
You're 100.
Unless there's a Mandela effect and it's now number 7. They went 77 miles an hour. And I don't know. But yeah, 88 miles an hour. Even I was bored and I was watching that old movie from the 80s called Buckaroo Banzai. And
no idea.
They had something, a very similar thing. And it's funny because that came out in the same year, 1984. And they had some kind of weird car that when it went to like 88 miles an hour, it went through this mountain. It's some kind of like the physics of it, like it was saying that matter is actually less dense, like with the way the particles are, there's all this empty space in it. And they went into a mountain and then there was like aliens in the mountain. Really weird. I mean, but again, it was like 88 miles an hour they were going.
That just sounds like trying to convince people to like commit suicide in their cars going 88 miles an hour to a wall to see if they'll pass through. It just sounds like some kind of like psyop.
No, I mean, the point is that there is some significance to 88. And I would say that I mean, I think it's pretty significant if they die at the age 88, and it's like that's connected to Saturn, because Saturn, you have Saturnalia, it's connected to sacrifice, all that kind of stuff.
Well,
Kronos
maybe
ate his
JD
kids.
Vance handed him a little vial of something that he didn't know about in that moment. You know, give him a little anthrax handshake or something. like who knows?
I don't know. It's pretty weird stuff, but it's funny how like all these things with the Pope, so many people view it with the futurist lens, and it's like for the futurist lens, it's like, of course, it's like, so they're going to get a new Pope in, and he's going to introduce some new religion. You're like, but he's starting with a pretty established one, so it's kind of weird to bring in a different religion that's worldwide. Again, like we already talked about that. The Catholic Church is, though they're bringing in people like Candace Owens, right? I think she was even trying to convert Russell Brand, some other really famous conservative person. I can't even remember who now. Maybe not that famous. Converted to Catholicism.
Yeah,
but I mean, I don't know. I don't know. They have the right branding to be the world's religion at this point.
No, I want to say this. So like, it's like, this is what happens with people that come to the truth. You come out of the wickedness and all the occult stuff, and you realize like Jesus is real. And Catholicism and Orthodoxy both pander to a person who's intellectually driven. And they go off of historical evidence which people like me and JT don't even believe. So for the most part, we think it's like a deeper rabbit hole than what most people think. And so like, because when you look into the Catholic things that they hold in high regard, it's really just it's like idolatry, and it's idol worship.
They have like a bunch of like holy relics and stuff, like
and
really
dead people. They have pieces of dead bones.
Oh
of
yeah,
saints,
you know, that
they keep in their temples.
I did a video a while back about they kept like Mary Magdalene's corpse or something like that, piece of her skull. Yeah, and it was like supposed to be some kind of holy relic.
That is not of the Lord.
Yeah, what did they say? They like in the video they said that it's where Jesus touched her forehead, and like the skin.
Oh my gosh!
You know what I'm talking? Have you ever heard this?
Yes. Yeah, this is terrible.
He touched her forehead, and like the skin
didn't rot
on this decayed corpse remained normal, I guess. And it's like, so that's some kind of symbol of the resurrection. You're like, that's not the symbol of the resurrection, because she died.
Yeah,
and she's a rotting corpse now, and it's really weird to keep that, because to most people, it's a symbol of death, not life.
The church is adamant that this is the skull of Mary Magdalene. They claim when the skull was found in the Middle Ages, a piece of skin was still attached to it, miraculously preserved from the moment Jesus touched Mary's forehead.
In many paintings, we see Jesus pushing a little bit Mary Magdalene, like that, touching this piece of skin. And so this piece of skin was touched by the risen Lord, so it's a sign, just a sign, but it's a sign of the resurrection. I truly believe that we have here the relics of Mary Magdalene, and I cannot prove it historically, but I can experience in this place there is a special blessing, grace, presence of Mary Magdalene.
Today, the Basilica of Saint-Maximin has been built on the spot where Mary Magdalene was apparently found. Many claim it was funded by the sale of some of her body parts as relics.
In Europe, most big cathedrals of the big cities, they have different relics of Mary Magdalene, probably, I say probably, given by the monks here for some money to build this beautiful basilica.
That those people that they have are even the people that they're saying that they are.
No, I don't think so either. But I mean, the point is that's one example of things, and it is kind of like the Raiders of the Lost Ark type stuff, where there's these relics that have power.
Yeah, that's
when
not
the power is
in
from
the authority
God.
of Christ.
I mean, if any of these things had any power, it's like it's power in God. It's like trying to get the Holy Grail. So you get this cup, and you drink from this, and you get eternal life. But it's like Jesus said, "You come to me, and you will thirst no more." You don't need to drink out of a cup. If you want eternal life, God gives that freely to people.
Yep.
It's you don't need a relic, and it's like even was it that the bad Germans from the 30s, they had supposedly they found the Spear of Destiny. Have you ever heard of that?
Yep.
So the Spear of Destiny was the Roman soldier, when Jesus had already passed, gave up his ghost.
Side.
in order to fulfill the prophecies about none of his bones would be broken, like he passed first because they broke the other people on the cross's legs, and then they stabbed Jesus with this spear, and that's where the blood and the water spilled out. And so they called that the spear of destiny, and supposedly they found it, which is kind of weird.
And supposedly that has some magical properties because it killed Jesus's earthly body. Like, that's disturbing.
But he was already dead. He already gave up his ghost.
That's even more ridiculous. It's more ridiculous than of an idea. And that's the thing. Like, this is what happens. Like, people come to the realization that there is a conspiracy against the Bible. And unfortunately, people that are still stuck in this idolatry-centered idea, they go to Catholicism. And those that figure out Catholicism's full of a bunch of witchcraft and occultism, they convert to Orthodoxy. So it's like, this is like the path that people are going. They're like waking up Catholicism or Orthodoxy or Christianity, and then you realize demons are real. Like, that's like, it seems to be the pattern. It's like you're going one of these three ways. It's like demons are real, or Orthodoxy, or Catholicism. It seems to be the following thing I've noticed.
Yeah, well, I guess that's really the tough part. Us believing we're in the short season is that they do have a lot of kind of good parts connected to their church, where it's kind of like we talked a little bit on Paul's channel about hagiographies, and that's like these accounts of these saints doing miraculous things.
Oh, yeah.
And so like the Orthodox and Catholic Church believe those are real.
Those
And
probably
of course,
were things that happened during the millennial reign.
Well, I guess that's what I'm saying. Like that. So like those churches would have longer traditions than Protestant churches, just based on history, right?
Yeah.
So that I remember we talked about this. I talked to this with Matt from Postmodern Theology, and he was saying that he actually said that the Orthodox Church, he was actually thought they got a lot of good points, because the Protestants have clung to this idea of a sola scriptura, which means that the Bible is the main authority and the only authority, which to me is like, yeah, I think that the scriptures is the main authority for us, but it can't be the only one, because
it's
like,
history.
so we can't trust any of the church history.
Yeah.
And whatever the church decided, because I mean, like, you'd have to conclude whether you say, oh, there was the Nicene Council and they put the Bible together and they were trying to like corrupt it. Well, the point is, men put the Bible together that we have now. You know, Holy Spirit inspired, hopefully men put the Bible together. I believe it was.
But it was still people.
But it was still people. So you do kind of we do have to rely a little bit on what the church has done over the years. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't be skeptical of things they've done. You shouldn't actually try to check it versus the scriptures. But yeah, that's interesting to think like that some of those churches, as corrupt as they may be now, they potentially did have the truth on their side. And so if we have to throw the baby out with the bathwater, if we believe that this church has always been corrupt, and so if they believe that these saints were doing miraculous things potentially in the millennial reign, and we just say, nuh-uh, we don't believe any of it's fictional.
Yeah.
But if you believe in the power of the Holy Spirit,
maybe it was happening. Maybe it was real.
It could absolutely be true. Remember, even Jesus told the apostles that
you will do these things in greater.
Yeah, you'll do greater things than this. So if there's evidence that somebody did those greater things, what if that's proof of it? Again, it's hard to say. It's hard to say because it's not in the Bible. But if it was but if men decided it should be in the Bible, then we would all believe it.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean just because it wasn't in the Bible doesn't mean it's not true.
The interesting thing is this, like, people, a lot of times what happens, unfortunately, with a lot of believers and a lot of people that are Christian, is you get in your head this idea that there are holy people and unholy people. That is not the case. Like, everybody, even the holiest of holy people, have some corruption in their heart. It seems to be the way, and that little bit of believing that there were saints back in the day that didn't have any flaws and failures of some capacity is what leads us to this concept of idolatry. And you worship these people, and you worship these past fathers, and you worship these things thinking that they're so great. And man, dude, bro, they're no different than you or I, and so like there's flaws in them. There's incorrections, thinking that they have, like, they may be right on like 90% of what they believe, or even 99% of what they believe. But that 1% of wrong, or that 10% of wrong, that's just enough to create a little bit of distraction and diversion and perversion and distortion. And that's happened throughout history, throughout all the things that people are doing. It's just a little bit of bad with a lot of bit of good. And it's like this is slowly over time kind of massaged its way into even more bad with good. Okay. And it's just literally been growing. And so like people don't ever think that there are perfect, holy people out there. Expect that people are flawed. Expect that even the best people you've seen make mistakes. Okay. Expect that they're going to make mistakes. They're going to let you down, and have that expectation and knowing. And you know what you should do is in your heart be like, you know what? Everyone else, this is what I think. I think everybody else is going to make mistakes. So it drives me to not want to make mistakes, because I just assume that there is nobody righteous today. I just assume sort of in my heart that everybody's failing. And so like, I'm like, Lord, I want to be the one person that can be righteous in a lot of ways. And that's how I view myself, to help me be as righteous as I can be. But like, the realization is that everybody's corrupted. Like, so many people are corrupted, and that's the reality of it. Anyways.
Well, I mean, we should hold ourselves to the standard that Jesus said we should hold,
but
be
but
perfect
hold
as the
ourselves
Father, be perfect as the Father is perfect.
Exactly. Hold ourselves there, but don't expect others to be held to that standard, is what I'm saying, because they're going to let you down.
Yeah, I believe that's the whole point of faith, is that like you're never there, but your goal is always to get there. And it's like, so I think that's why when like you have these hyper grace people and it's like, oh, well, you can just do anything. And you're like,
yeah, no,
but that's not really not living like you're supposed to. I feel like that Jesus challenged us to a standard it's really not possible. But at the same time, like if your goal is to be more righteous and more holy every day, well, I think that's the way you're supposed to live. You know what I mean? Like where do you end up? Where do you start? Where do you end up? Obviously you end up in a better place if your goal every day is to be better than you were before. And they always say that the closer you get to God, the more your faults are exposed, the brighter the light is shined on you. So you always there's always this refining process and being sanctified through God's grace. All right, I know Brian wanted to share this one video. Maybe this is the last Pope video we'll share, but let's check this out.
Avoid speaking of world events, because I always see how things are dependent, some on repentance, some are dependent on certain postures. If God gives me a definite, he gives me a definite. Like I'll give you an example. I saw certain things, if they happen. I looked at the Vatican in a vision, and I saw smoke going up by the end of April. And I know what black smoke means. It means somebody else has been elected. So the question is did the current Pope die or the current Pope retire? I want you to keep this. I haven't announced it to the world because I'm still seeing the ground shifting and moving. Shifting and moving. And the one that I saw that they elected had black hair. Not like a black man, but he was not like the other popes. I'm just telling you what I saw. But I saw the landscape shifting. But I'm just saying this so that you remember that I told you. By the end of April, I saw smoke at the Vatican, and I was shocked. Are they electing somebody else, or what is happening? So pray for the Pope. I know some people say he's a Satanist, some people say otherwise. All I know is that everybody needs prayer. Amen. So in the Spirit of God, I don't even know how we got there, but what is today? Saturday, March 8th at 2:10 p.m.
And the new Pope they're supposedly looking at, by the way, is a black man. Do you know that? They're supposedly trying to elect right now.
I'm surprised it's not a trans woman of color.
I know,
they're going to elect. I'd be shocked. I'm shocked that they weren't progressive enough to say, "Oh, it's tired of these old white guys."
It's hilarious though, but it is. It's interesting that he said this because that was like March 8th or whatever. I mean, I guess maybe he read the newspaper. He could have been like, "Oh, okay." The Pope looks like he's
that's what
die.
I was going to say. It's like that. Okay. Do you need to be a prophet? The guy went into the hospital I think on February 14th was like Valentine's Day. I think that's what I just read. I have to look that up because that's pretty interesting. We did. Yeah, he was hospitalized February 14th with a respiratory tract infection. Then
When did he get out of the
this
hospital?
infection later developed into bilateral pneumonia, and he was discharged in March. He was hospitalized again in April 21st with
but look at that.
with
He was
stroke and
discharged what day in
subsequent
March?
cardiac arrest.
What day in March was he discharged? Because that was March 8th when he said that.
He was in the hospital for 38 days. So when that guy prophesied or he saw a vision, yeah, the Pope had been in the hospital for like almost like 3 weeks at least at that point.
But he just got out. But he got it right out.
No. This was before he got out.
Yeah,
he prophesied that because he said 38 days he was in because he got discharged, and I think that's what the first video we showed. That guy was saying like he got discharged and then he died not that long afterwards.
I don't know. Yeah, that's interesting. That is very interesting. But I mean, like the probability that he said the end of April, that's still a whole month out, you know? And so it's like, because he was in March, January, February, March, April. Yeah, March 8th. So it was still a whole month or 2 months almost out that he prophesied or said that he saw at the end of April, black smoke or whatever. And to him, it meant a re-electing. So he was like, I don't know if he dies or if he gets retired, but something's going to happen at the end of April. So he had that suggested idea, right? So, and I mean, the Bible says we know in part and we prophesy in part. So, you know, maybe he really did get some kind of vision that gave him some understanding. And I think it is funny that he said that the next Pope, he said not like a black man, maybe, but he said he's going to be different. He's going to be different. Well, the dude is potentially a black guy that they're trying to elect, which I think is pretty like, well, that's definitely unusual. Like, I mean, that's, you know, I mean, I feel like that's pretty unusually close, right? Or
yeah.
no?
Well, I mean, like I said, I had heard that. And like I said, honestly, I'm not surprised that they're looking at other people just being 2025 and just the way, you know, society is today, that they would have to, move away from old white guys. Cause I mean, we're pretty much numero uno as far as like the people who have wrecked this place and things like that, even though some of us
according
are okay.
to the standard.
according to, you know, the current standard. But the other thing though is that what I've heard is about a black pope is not,
that's what I wanted to
it has nothing to do with the color of somebody's skin. It's like a Jesuit. It's like a secret covert Jesuit. It's almost like that. I think, at least I heard, and of course I could misremembered this, but I heard like that, like the black pope would be like somebody who was currently a pope and you did not know that they were kind of operating in secret, right? Am I wrong about that? I thought that's what it wasn't. Well, like you had like the public face of it, and then you had what was really going on, who was controlling all the wicked stuff, I guess.
Okay, so here's the interesting part. So the black pope is referred to as the Jesuit pope. Okay, so there's what's considered the white pope and what is considered the black pope. The black pope, though, isn't official title. It's just the Jesuit pope wears all black. He's like the highest ranking, sort of underground pope. Okay, and so the idea was that after the final pope would be a black pope, which meant he would come from the line of Jesuits. So apparently this guy, the Pope Francis, was also a Jesuit. Apparently he was a black pope, technically. And so you're like, well, he was a black pope. So technically Pope Francis kind of fulfilled that thing, because this is the final pope will be a black pope. But what if we predicted it completely wrong? And what if it actually meant he would be a black dude? And it doesn't mean a Jesuit pope. It doesn't mean a black pope as in from the Jesuit order, like he was one of because the Jesuits are like pretty harsh group of Catholicism, okay, and they're like a different sort of sect, but they work alongside the popes or the regular popes. So like, but what if the actual prophecy that supposedly said that actually just meant he's gonna be a black dude? And like I think, I don't know, man, it's pretty hilarious because there's this other prophecy too we got to consider. So it's the Malarchy, I believe it is, Saint Malachi, or Saint Malachi. Okay, that's what it was. Okay, so predicted there would be 112 popes, and then the end will come. There'll be one final pope. Okay, that's what he said, and then the end will come. Right? Have you heard about that?
Oh yeah, I've heard that. I've heard also, but yeah, to back to what you're saying about the color of the Pope.
Okay.
I mean, to me, because I am not a racist, I don't see much distinction between a black Pope and a white Pope, like by skin color. So I don't think that's really all that significant. I mean, yeah, good call if you predicted that. But yeah, the Malachi prophecy, which is interesting. I wanted to bring up Tom Horn, who's passed away. Was it last year or 2 years ago? I liked a lot of things that Tom Horn did. Tom Horn was he worked a lot kind of in the same kind of spheres like what Brian and I do, like talking about Nephilim and angels and weird mythologies. He was like an encyclopedia of resources as far as all that stuff goes. Now, the one thing that I disagree with him about, of course, I didn't so much then, but I believe he was a pre-trib guy, so I was never on board with that. But obviously, he's a futurist. So he was predicting all the stuff, all the end time stuff is going to happen soon. And he wrote a book, I believe it was called The Last Pope. And he predicted that Francis was the last pope. And so a lot of people had predicted that he was going to be the final pope, which I guess according to the Vatican structure, I want to say that it's something about like 3 weeks of a mourning process ish. And then they have their election process, and then there's a pope. So, I mean, I would imagine within 2 months, there'll be another pope. So, Tom Horn, probably wrong, because if the world doesn't end in 2 months,
I was going to say, unless
then there's going to be another pope. And I think that's the thing that's kind of bothered me about all these weird pope prophecies, because it's like, it has to be about like the book of Revelation is about to happen. Even though we say, the thing is, too, is that, okay, so we don't trust a lot of the history during the Dark Ages.
Yeah, no.
But there's this unbroken line of popes. BS. BS. So has there really been 112 popes? I don't know that. Brian doesn't know that. We don't know that.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's going based on the mainstream history, which I do not trust. And I do not believe that some pope's going to come in here and he's going to get the world to follow the Antichrist. I just,
well, what if they needed that next pope, so they had to end Pope Francis to make sure that they had that extra pope in there? You know what I mean? For their world dominating plans, and that's why JD Vance slipped him the little sleepy pill.
I mean, how much you really got to do? The Pope was 88. I mean, he's pretty old anyways. He didn't look like he was the model of health either. So
yeah, no, for sure.
Like the idea that he could have died of natural causes it's not out of the realm of possibility, at least in my mind. Could have some funny business happen? Yeah, potentially. Like I said, he was 88. Klaus Schwab steps down at 88. He dies the day after Easter. That timing is pretty strange. And speaking of that, let's move on. Let's actually talk about.
Wait. I didn't finish this part. Oh. So there was Malachi predicted 112 popes. Okay, till the end. Okay, and then the end will come. This pope right now, if they elect him, I believe would be the 112th pope. Or St. Francis is technically the 112th pope. I forget which number.
See, that's what I thought. See, I think I was guessing based on Tom Horn's book that he was. I never read it. I mean, I just know that he talked about it. But so I thought that he was saying like this kind of had to be the final pope. Because
what if we don't? I mean, like, what if they never elect the next pope? And we'll see. I mean, like the other dude said, there's some shift in change when he sees the black smoke. So what if they do something different with? What if it's like totally a different thing? And maybe the Jesuit Pope, maybe St. Francis was the Black Pope, and maybe that he is the 112th Pope, but also the painting still has one extra painting, which also could mean maybe that's the 112th Pope, and maybe we got the counting off a little bit wrong, And so if that's the case, then it's like, well, where does that put it? I mean, like, we're coming to the end of some kind of prophetic thing. It seems like people have been guessing some stuff towards the end here right now.
Let's just say, because I'm skeptical of lots of things.
Yes.
When did they put up that spot for another pope?
I don't know.
Is it possible?
I think it's been there for a while.
Is it possible that's new?
Oh, that's interesting.
Is it possible that's new?
Yeah, I wonder if they just moved
that there's
the
more
paintings
room for more places, but they don't put another one up until it's time for.
Well, what do they just shift them all over?
Pope.
What do they just like shift all the paintings and give more space?
I mean, like I said, because obviously 7 Club, he showed just a very narrow part of this top of this ceiling. So maybe there's room to add more if there's more popes.
There's more popes. Maybe
See,
it's just
that's
a
the thing. It's
reminder.
like you need some boots on the ground people to go in there and walk in there and say, "Is there more room?" If there's more
go
room,
pope
then
it up. Go look at the Pope pictures for us. Take a video of the whole area. Sneak it
Yeah,
because
call
I
to
don't think you're
action.
allowed to film in there. Go film for us and then send us the video.
Yeah, but I wanted to talk a little bit, just real quickly. There's not a lot to say about it, but Klaus Schwab, him also stepping down. Obviously, Seven Club mentioned it.
I mean, I'm glad Klaus Schwab is stepping down. That's great news. But I mean, who's his predecessor? Because he ain't stepping down without putting somebody else in the shoes. And unfortunately, the people that get replaced by these guys tend to be a little bit more, I don't know, scarier in some regard. Like and also more like nefarious or like unseen. Like for instance, what's his name stepped down and his son took over. Alex, his son took over. The guy
George Soros' son.
George Soros' son, Alex Soros, right? Yeah. So Alex Soros is married to, or was to, the Huba Abedin, who is like, she's like an occultic witch. That is a whole nother scary situation right there. And you're like, well, how bad is this dude? Because it's like, we don't even know how bad he is. That's a little bit alarming right there in my book. So who knows, the predecessor to this dude stepping down could be scarier. I don't know.
I got news for you.
What?
He sure looks scarier. This guy right here.
Oh, he's already got the predecessor?
I think it's Peter Brabeck Latham.
This is his predecessor with one eye that's like bloodshot permanently?
I don't know if this is what this guy always looks like, but this is straight out of James Bond right here.
Bro, how's that not a bad guy? That's the bad guy.
I'm telling you, like, it's funny. I made a video and I was joking about it some years ago of saying that Klaus Schwab does look like a guy that came straight out of like an Austin Powers movie where he's like Dr. Evil. Like he talks like Dr. Evil. He's got the same philosophy as Dr. Evil. And then you got this guy step in. This guy reminds me of Casino Royale, that like the kind of the new James Bond franchise. The very first one with who's the actor who plays James Bond? You're not going to know this, Brian.
I don't know. Pierce Brosnan.
No, Pierce Brosnan's afterwards. It's
Oh.
I really like him. But whatever. They had the guy who had the character where the guy, he used to bleed out of his one eye.
Nope. No idea.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I know wait, I think I know what you're talking about. He's like got his eyes are like this and he's very calm like this talking.
Yeah, let me see.
And he's like very, very like talks like this.
Daniel Craig is who Daniel Craig was actually pretty good.
Bad guy. Yeah, that guy. I know you're talking about. Yeah, him. Yeah, he talks like this.
Guy like
yeah.
Tell me that's not the same vibe right there. That guy right there. So like an older version of him. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, that's definitely.
Yeah, and he used to like have to pat his eye where the blood would drip out.
Oh, that's creepy.
Telling you guys, it's like it does feel like that we are living in a movie sometimes. Like, yeah, like this guy looks like a villain.
That's his predecessor? That's really
I think he might be a temporary replacement, but
dude, yeah, that's a bad guy. I don't even know.
This is the guy we should definitely trust. This guy right here.
Like, did it replace the bad guy for another bad guy? Like, I mean, come on. Like, he's got freaking a red eye. Like, that is not normal. That is not like I'm sorry, dude. Like, if I was like, hey, world leader, you know, we really like you. Your profile's great. You know, you've done a lot of humanitarianism, but you know what? You've got a horn growing out of your face, so we're not gonna elect you. Okay, I'm sorry. That's just like, I don't know. I feel like people should be able to like just look at the situation and be like, something's not right. I feel like God allows things like this almost like a joke for humans to just be like, are you really that naive? Like, come on, like something's not right.
Yeah, I guess they're like, we can't win with you because if we put a patch on your eye, they'll still say, look, it's the one eye symbolism. Like we're still gonna do the one eye thing. And it's like, yeah, the one bloody looking eye, that is really, really scary looking.
Maybe he did like his ritual ending, whatever entry, and they, messed him up permanently by accident.
I mean, I don't even know. I mean, we can only speculate, but I don't trust him. I don't know about you guys.
No,
I don't trust
definitely
him.
don't.
I don't trust him. All right, let's check out another video. I got a few fun ones here. Switching gears wildly.
Do you regard black magic as being purely fictitious, or is there some truth in it?
Some truth. 100% truth. There is nothing fictitious about black magic, in any way whatever. It is a fact. It is a fact which has existed for several thousand years. I mean, when we talk about black magic, we are talking about Satanism, necromancy, alchemy, witchcraft, worship of Satan, the worship of dark forces, whether it's voodoo, juju, whether it's something practiced in the Western world or the Eastern world, whether it's easily defined or not easily defined, the order of the left-hand path, the following of that. Mm-hmm. It is basically the worship of the force of evil as embodied by Satan, Lucifer, the princes of darkness and their legions and so on. In a very simple sense, of course, it goes much more deeply than that. It is a fact. It is a desperately dangerous fact. It does exist. It exists around us today. Satanic ceremonies will be happening in Britain tonight. Very definitely. Ask any priest, ask any member of the forces of law and order, and they will tell you that Satanism as such, it's there, and it has been for thousands of years. Man has worshipped the devil longer than he has worshipped perhaps an established religious figure.
Dang. Speaking facts right there, bro. You're speaking the truth right there. Well, and people are probably naive to even recognizing it.
That's really interesting, especially because I think Christopher Lee played Dracula in a movie. He also played Saruman in the Lord of the Ring franchise, the evil wizard.
Wow. That's him younger? Wow, I didn't even know that.
Oh, yeah, Christopher Lee. It's like, he's a great actor and everything. He was Count Dooku in those crappy Star Wars movies, which is, he was probably embarrassed to be seen in those movies
so
after a while.
He likes playing the bad guys, apparently.
Well, he's got that. I mean, he's tall. He's got that voice. He's a Brit, so he's kind of got that bad guy vibe. But yeah, like he certainly epitomizes like that.
And the line that he said in that was so nefarious was, "Most certainly there will be black magic ceremonies going on tonight," or whatever he said. Like there will be satanic ceremonies going on in Britain tonight. Like that. When he said that, it was like, oh, he might be involved. Because what do you mean they're most certainly? How do you know that? How do you know that, buddy? Like, unless you're like fighting against it, because I didn't know about this stuff till I started praying for people out of it. Like, it's pretty, he knows something. He knows something, because that's not a common understanding, I would say, especially back then.
Oh, most certainly. I mean, like, I'll show you this next clip, which is really interesting. It's like, I think he knows because he really knows. Like he truly knows. Check out. We'll watch this next video and then we'll comment.
Up in the back there. It's well known that you have a huge interest in the occult and one of the largest collections of books.
I don't have a huge collection. Somebody wrote I had 20,000 books. I'd had to live in a bath. I have maybe 4 or 5. I have The Devil Rides Out, first edition, signed to me by Dennis Wheatley. And there's a book just come out about him called The Devil is a Gentleman. And I have met people who claimed to be Satanists, who claimed to be involved with black magic, who claimed that they not only knew a lot about it, but as I said, I've certainly haven't been involved, and I warn all of you, never, never, never. You will not only lose your mind, you'll lose your soul.
What was that he said where everybody started laughing? I missed that.
Oh, he was saying that if he had 20,000 occult books, he'd have to live in this bathroom.
Oh, that's
because there'd be no room in his house with that many books in there. But he did say he did say he had 5. He did actually disavow. No, I have not taken advantage. I've not taken part in that.
But he studied it.
Yeah, well, he's kind of speaking out of both sides of his mouth when he's kind of got these 4 or 5 books, and you hear how he's talking. I mean, like in the old clip. Yeah, but I mean, he spoke the truth again. Then he said, "Don't mess with that stuff. You'll lose your mind, and you'll lose your soul."
Speaking truth, I don't know. He's telling the truth at least. Like, who knows if he's lost his soul? I mean, because how else do you know? I mean, like, to know that much back then, I feel like you knew something or you were close to something. Either he was, maybe he was exposed to it. And that's how he got involved in Hollywood and stuff. Maybe he was involved with people that were around him, and maybe he's a good guy. Maybe he was exposed to it and he was just around those Hollywood people and decided, no, I'm not going to touch it, but I'll be in this. But he learned about it from that environment. Maybe that's why he studied about it. Because people don't I mean, when people really are in the occult, a lot of times they don't usually say it. They don't want to admit it. Like, like people that are in the occult, like, I mean, like, think about it. Like, if I had the ability to manipulate your
isn't
dreams,
the definition of occult like secret?
Hidden. Yeah, it's hidden.
Yes,
but like
you don't admit, you don't openly admit that you're in the occult.
Exactly. So like if I had the ability to go into your dreams, walk in your dreams, and manipulate your dreams at night, and convince you to say things or do things for me or whatever, like, am I gonna say that I have that ability? Like, am I gonna say this kind of stuff? Like, no, people that are involved in the occult don't want to say that. Like, they're not gonna tell people they're involved in the occult because of that, but that's what they do. Like, occult people, they'll literally, like, I've had this happen to me. I had somebody that would walk into my dreams, bro. Craziest experience I've ever had. Literally. And I didn't even know that was like a thing that they could do.
It's like Freddy Krueger.
Literally walked into my dreams and told me multiple times, what my dreams were. Like, I'm like not even joking. And being involved in praying for stuff, it freaked me out. The first time it happened, I was so terrified. I was like, this is not real. Like, this is like, I was like, you're making this up. There's no way that this happened. Like, bro, it's real though. There's people that can literally do this. They can walk into your dreams and they can literally influence you. And that's what they do. They influence people like this. Try to get them to do what they want or whatever. It's crazy. It's very crazy.
Yeah, I wonder if it has something to do with it. Again, he's an actor, right? He's playing all these super evil characters that are literally involved with, like, the drinking blood, black magic, sorcery, all that stuff.
Like, I mean, maybe he studied it, you think?
He's probably got countless roles where he does that kind of stuff. Even in this, like, those crappy Star Wars movies, he's a Sith. So he's using the dark side of the Force and all that stuff. So it's like, that's literally like his motif. That's all he does is play the bad guy. So what if researching some of these roles, and these people like to get into the method of acting, right? And then they like to become the character.
Got it. So he became a Satanist after researching. No,
well, I mean, no, I'm saying, like, what if it was as something as simple as that he was researching to try to become this character, and so he was reading all the dark stuff about this,
maybe,
and he literally encountered demons, and that's why he's like,
it's real.
Don't go down this road. It's a bad idea. And again, he says he said he knew people who claim that younger version of himself, he was definitely acting like, yeah, he specifically knew that this stuff was going to happen that night in London.
Yeah, that's pretty weird.
You can ask anybody this kind of stuff. I think I've heard many accounts like that too, when they talk about, like, Halloween and how many like satanic things happen on that night.
Oh yeah.
And obviously that's just one example. That's one night. But I mean, do they only practice that one night a year?
No, definitely they don't.
Obviously not. Obviously not. I mean, people who are devoted to that are way more devoted than a lot of people that call themselves Christians. So of course that's who they are. That's how they live.
Bro, I think, it's important not to, like, point a finger at everybody and just say, you're the devil, you're evil. Like, it's possible he's a good guy, it's totally possible that he's just a good, and even the people that are bad guys, like in real life bad guys, I'm talking real bad guys, like, they don't even know they're bad guys half the time because they're being influenced by demons, and there's part of their mind that they probably don't even have access to. So it's like, it's important that we pray for everybody, even the Pope, even all the people that are trafficking people like that we got to pray for these people, because they're just as lost and confused as anybody else. Like, if anything you guys learn from watching our channel, it's not to condemn one another, okay? And not to condemn people. If anything you learn, like, do not be like, oh, the celebrities are all evil. Like, bro, they're not all evil. Like, they're lost, they're confused, they're broken, they're hurting, they're manipulated, they're mind controlled, they're under hypnosis, MK Ultra programming. They don't even know what they're doing half the time. So, like, even the people that are involved in this evil stuff, like, they don't even know. Like, they don't even get it. They don't even understand. And so you got to, like, teach them love. That's the only way you get people out of this stuff, by the way. You got to bring them out with love. It doesn't come out with, like, you're evil, confess your evilness and admit it. Like, that's not how love works. Like, it doesn't like help people come escape from what they're in, because they're terrified. The people that try to escape are terrified because they know that they can get killed. So it's like it's like their death. They're going to be killed if they've got options. The option is speak and die, or shut your mouth and go and hide. Like, that's it. That's their options.
That's that actually will transition nicely into this video about somebody we did a kind of devoted an episode to. I called it Save Bieber. So Justin Bieber is a great example of that.
Yep, exactly. Very good example.
Justin Bieber is finding out just what happens to you when you try to walk away from the system that built you. Because right now, if you Google anything about Justin Bieber, it is all negative. They're saying his marriage is on the rocks, that he's in tens of millions of dollars of debt. The Hollywood Reporter is insinuating that he's suffering from a crisis in faith. But is any of that actually true? Because if we zoom out, we know that for years, Justin has been trying to get out of these horrible contracts that he signed with these record companies when he was a young kid, including trying to get out of a contract with his longtime manager, Scooter Braun. And over the past couple days, there have been rumors flying around online about a publicist named Stephanie Jones and how she's coordinating this attack against Justin Bieber, this smear campaign, on behalf of her client, Scooter Braun. And this morning, I got off the phone with a source very close to Justin's team, confirming that that rumor is true. Justin is trying to extricate himself from these contracts, and now Hollywood is fighting back. And Stephanie Jones, who represents a bunch of celebrities, including Tom Brady, let's just say if she's not your friend, she's your enemy. She's described as taking this no-holds-bar approach, super aggressive. She calls it championing the causes of our clients. Her PR team was at the heart of the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni drama, and now it seems that she's got her crosshairs on Justin Bieber. Now look, it's easy to write this off as celebrity drama. Rich people with rich people problems. But to me, this is really a universal story about what happens to people when they take on the system. Whether it's entertainment, finance, politics, the system will always work overtime to destroy them. And I'm choosing to talk about this now because every time a story like this gets exposed, the system loses a little bit of its power. And when enough of us are finally looking, that's when we have a chance to really take the system down.
Let's take the system down. I'm all for it. Let's go.
He's most certainly right. Yeah, like there has not been a story about Justin Bieber in quite some time that wasn't overly negative, talking about his appearance, which we talked about. I mean, like, he looks bad. He looks really bad.
Looks like a drug addict.
Yeah, he looks strung out. He looks like a person who maybe sold his soul. And he's living with that just demon, that regret. And of course, we believe in the healing power of Jesus Christ. And then you're not too far gone until, while you're still here, that maybe he can be redeemed. And I think that, again, like, that's what Brian is saying, that he's probably done some really horrible things. And that's probably what the weight that's on him about what he's done. And he wants out, but they're like, you cannot leave. They cannot afford for somebody as big as Bieber to leave. Like we've talked about Prince, Michael Jackson. It's like, no, there's no getting out. It's like Hotel California. You know that song by the Eagles? You can check in, but you can't check out. I mean, I think that's kind of like, that's the deal that they make. And of course, again, Justin Bieber was way too young to ever make a deal like that with with full understanding what he's doing. I guess nobody really fully understands what they're getting into when they sign up for this business. But yeah, sucks. I mean, like I said, I do feel like the Biebs does, because it does seem like he's remorseful about a lot of the stuff that's happened. I think that's proof that he's not too far gone.
I feel bad for Bieber, honestly. Like, I'd be his friend. I'd talk to him. like, bro, like, you know, he needs love. He needs community. He needs connection. He needs that. Love is what he needs more than anything. He needs to get freedom from the situation, because when they leave, they cut your community, they cut your funding, they cut your everything. And so you got nothing left, bro. And you were left like, dude, and that's the thing. When you sell your soul, like, you think you can take your treasure with you when you walk away from the devil, bro? The devil takes back his treasure. He's like, no, you want to leave? Give me back all the treasure you took. That's mine. You ain't walking away with the treasure and then some. Like, and that's unfortunate. A lot of people have to give back what they've received in some situations. They have to give back, and the devil comes and takes it. He collects, man. He collects. I've seen it plenty of times. And like, he's like, hey, you know, you want to walk away from this? Give it all up. And that's Justin Bieber's got to do that. And if you fight it and you don't, then you end up looking like Justin Bieber, because you want to hang on to some of the stuff that the demons gave you. Their demons are going to hang on, and they're going to destroy you. And I mean, you're up against demons, guys. These are invisible entities that are thousands of years old, and they're a lot smarter than a lot of people think that they are. Okay. And so, like, these things will wreck your life. They'll possess you. They'll affect you. They'll affect your decisions. Like, Justin Bieber is probably like half not even Justin Bieber. Like, half the time it ain't even him. There's probably some entity that is running Justin Bieber's life for him, like leading him into these bad decisions and making these terrible choices. There is something affecting Bieb's life. And it's like, in even people that are like evil, like I was just saying, like that one dude, Klaus Schwab's predecessor with his one eye. I joke, right? We were joking about him having the one eye, but the reality is, like, he's just a human as anybody else, you know, and he needs,
is he human?
Or is he human?
Is he human?
You know, I would
we have to ask that question. I mean, I'm just saying.
That's a good point. But my personal perspective, I would still treat him like a human. I wouldn't let him run
human until proven otherwise.
Right. I wouldn't let him.
I need those glasses. We need the glasses.
Yes, exactly. I would not let him run my bank account or anything that I own. However, I would still pray for the guy. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, we can still do that.
I'd be like, hey, sorry, you look a little fishy. I'm not going to give you my wallet or trust you, but like, we can still be friends, and I'll pray for you. Like,
yeah, you know what? So I got a follow-up video that might explain why the Biebs is in the state that he's in.
Okay, let's do it.
But when you give up your manhood, I've never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that went to the puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. Get punked out and pimped out by some greater desire. You shouldn't have a greater desire than being a man.
So you see some guys struggling with that. You see Bieber struggling with that. You see some of these guys struggling with that.
They can't get it out of their head. They can't get it out of their head. The things that they did, no matter how they did it, whether they were drunk or high or whatever, you gave up your man card. You need therapy. And that's the thing that hurts them the most. And so they end up on drugs, end up every way to try and get rid of any principles there are. And that's what the business does. And the women that trade their bodies to go and get the role, they get to the point where they have their Oscar, they have their money, but they don't have their dream. They don't have the soul that they started with. So it's like achieving don't mean anything. If I get all the Nobel Prizes from doing all of this, but in the process I have to trade out all of my integrity to do it so that they can stay in place, what benefit is that if I lose my integrity? You got to go in as a principle. And what we were brought in here is men. We produce 1,500 sperm per heartbeat for a reason, because the aggression is necessary. You don't trade that in, no matter what.
Hey, did you ever have the opportunity where you got invited and you said no to it?
Hell yeah.
What was the consequences when you said no?
Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me. Then next thing you know, okay, hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I play the music. And you're sitting there, just looking at me, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, you know, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to f you. That's what my assistant said. I was like, oh, okay. Now I get it. So now no more communication. Now you know to be hands off with somebody. A number of producers come in and make the approach, and you threaten to punch them in the mouth, or threaten to knock their head off for talking to you like, or looking at you like you're a woman. You know, when you approach a real man about his masculinity, you're going to get a real reaction back. It's a difference when a guy walks in a room and when a man walks into a room. And a man don't take the same things that a guy will accept. So always be the man in the room. And that's always been my whole thing, and have lost businesses because I don't bend over in that way. I don't compromise. I don't play gay roles. I don't kiss a man. I don't do that shit.
That's true, man. Dang, he's spitting some truth right there. The thing is, here's the interesting part. Like, because Terrence Howard's also crazy, but like he's speaking the truth about that. Like right there, like that is so true, because here's the deal. You want to know why the celebrities have to sacrifice something or someone they love all the time? They have to sacrifice someone they love. You can hear about it. You can read about all their celebrities that die. It's because it creates trauma. In the same way, being molested by another man creates trauma. And what does trauma do? I've explained this several times. It divides the mind, and it breaks away a section of your memory that gets control for hypnosis. So like it makes you a hypnotic subject, because you're trying, and all hypnotist has to do is put you into that trauma mind, and you'll shut down. And then they interject demons that control your life and do things to you that control your life. So yeah, you do need therapy if this stuff has happened to you a lot of times, or you need prayer, and you need to get the demon out and get back the healing in your mind. Okay, that's what you really need. And this is what I deal with people when I pray for people all the time. I have to pray back the destruction that it has from the trauma in order to collect back that piece of the mind to get the demon out of the person, so they're no longer controlled by this thing that keeps affecting their life. Like that's literally how it works. And so what he's saying right there, that trauma, yeah, like when men take advantage of another man, that man has now been traumatized, and that man is now a hypnotic subject. He is now an ideal hypnotic subject and can be brainwashed and controlled for all kinds of purposes. And then they get you to sacrifice someone you love, and it gets even further control of you. Okay. And this is how it goes. They just grow the trauma in your brain. Okay. Same with a woman. When a woman sells herself to get a role, bro, that's trauma. That's straight trauma. And whether it's because she steps out of what she's done to do this thing, and then every time she looks at herself, she thinks of how dirty she is. That's literally trauma. And you don't even realize it. And the demons can take advantage of that trauma in your mind. He's spitting truth right there. Like, totally.
Well, I mean, it makes perfect sense. I guess it's something we have probably touched on and we've talked about a lot, but hearing somebody getting so specific about it, is that everything I've learned from doing all the research we've done is that this is how secret societies operate, right? They get you to compromise yourself to some certain level. And at the base understanding of it is that if you did something you didn't want people to know about, well, they can control you by having some dirt on you. But I think but the more I've dug into that, yeah, it's like the mind control, the MK Ultra stuff is, yeah, what Brian's saying is absolutely correct, is that they're creating a trauma bond. And then you're even more controllable. It's not just that they don't want people to know about the bad thing they did. It's like literally this is giving them people have got power over them, like in a literal sense, not because they're worried about the reputation anymore. It's like literally like, yeah, they got like a demon that's attached to them, and now this is who's really controlling them. This is witchcraft. Is what's happening. But
that's
yeah, like
literally what it is.
But yeah, when you see Justin Bieber, it's like it makes perfect sense in every respect of what we're saying, is that that it's like the deal with the devil. It's the Faustian bargain. So you're willing to do whatever it takes to be famous. Famous musician, pop star, you name it. You get what you wanted. But what did you have to give to get it? We're not talking about the hard work. We're talking about like a little piece of you. So it's kind of like that. I mean, you know how life is. It's like you go and you achieve, and then it's like, so what's next? I think that's probably the most difficult part for people like this is like, so when you have achieved, you've gotten all the things this world has to offer, but you can never really get back what you want now is, your integrity, your soul. And that eats at these people. Yeah, and it makes perfect sense. It's like, so what do these people do? They go to drugs and alcohol to try to cope and try to make them forget the things they've done. But like they cannot get this. And so it ends up being like, this is the thing that ends up consuming them and is their demise. And it's like, so then people look at him like, oh, they're just crazy. Even Terrence Howard, like he said some insane stuff. But you kind of wonder,
well, Terrence Howard doesn't...
like he's saying he hasn't done that.
Yeah, but he's been traumatized
what
in other
has
ways.
he done?
Yeah.
Because he does seem a little bit nuts. The thing he said there was not crazy. Nothing he said was crazy. I mean, obviously I disagree that it's about manhood. Obviously it's about like
control.
Well, I mean, what I'm saying is like that he was saying something that was true, but obviously in a spiritual sense, it's like that our integrity, our soul, our connection to what's right and what God thinks is more important than us being a man. But obviously, God made you to be a man, so He definitely doesn't want you to do that. And so, like, that's that kind of regret. I think that that's exactly what we're talking about. Like the thing he just said, that
to a T,
like he would know.
Description.
Like that guy would obviously know.
Yep, and like, there's definitely something that's happened to Terrence. He has a sign of trauma as well. That's why he's celebrity. That's why he's still chosen. That's why he's utilized, because he has a hypnotic inducible mind. Like you can tell the dude disassociates. You can tell just by the way he zones out when he's talking. He does this thing where he's like, he talks like this. That's somebody that's had trauma in their life. They have been exposed to trauma. Whether he was beat as a child, I almost guarantee you that guy was beat as a child. Like I guarantee you, almost like that dude has had some type of, whether he was molested as a child or whatever, and he's like thinks he's healed from it. There's some trauma in that man, dude. Like, and like that's why he seems crazy. Like that's why there's this disassociative space in his mind. Dude's got trauma. Like something has happened to him to some degree that has invoked some demonic spirit that makes him appear as though he is a delusional crazy person, which he's not. He's just a dude, but like there's a part of his mind that's not connecting all the dots. And there's a part, and that usually is a stemmed like maybe he's just not that smart, or maybe he's got trauma. That's literally
he definitely
what it is.
Seems intelligent. I mean, he's like, because he's not stupid. Like I bet you he does have a high IQ, because even the crazy stuff he says is really complex. I mean, it's like it's like he's not a dumb guy.
No, but he's got trauma.
But I would say that's true. What I find really interesting, of course, me being a bit of a Marvel nerd and knowing all the movies. So in the first Iron Man movie, so you have Robert Downey Jr., and then you had his kind of like his buddy was Terrence Howard. And so he played in that movie War Machine. So like Tony Stark is Iron Man, but then he has this other suit, and this other guy becomes like the other character in the Marvel franchise. It's like he's War Machine. So supposedly he wanted more money for the next movie, and that's why they replaced him with Don Cheadle. But you know what? What if this is why he really got replaced? Is because he did not want to do what it took to be in like the most popular franchise that Disney had at the time. I mean, you think about it, like
oh, I bet you that's probably what it was.
You know, being a character in this Marvel series that obviously led up to like Infinity War and Endgame, and you get to be this character. Like, how much money is that worth? So, like, you know, say he's going to turn down one role in an Iron Man movie when this is going to lead to the Avengers and Infinity War stuff, Captain America, all these other roles.
Who knows what that conversation was?
Well, he did mention that this has cost him all kinds of money in roles. It's like, what if that's the real story? Is that they were saying he was difficult to work with? Maybe
difficult
because he was not willing to play any role to get any role.
Yeah, exactly. He wasn't willing to bend over, and like that's probably why it was difficult. That way. Yeah, That makes a lot more sense, honestly. Like, it makes a lot more sense because, like,
yeah, because you know what I'm saying. Because it'd be short-sighted to draw a line in the sand about I want to be paid more money for Iron Man 2.
Bro, if I was in
when
the
his
Iron
agent
Man
would have
movie...
said, "Did you see?" Like, because Disney, for all their faults, like when they started with Iron Man, so Iron Man was the very first like series that led to Endgame. And so like this was like this 10-year plan of all these movies. Your agent would have said, "Hey,
Bro,
man,
take the less money.
just take less money because it'll be worth it in the long run. Because you'll be celebrated, you'll be on lunch boxes and all that kind of stuff."
Yeah.
I think that, I mean, can you imagine the royalties
Man.
they would getting paid to be in all these different Marvel movies?
That's crazy. Yeah, he would be like sitting so pretty. But
right, he wouldn't be Terrence Howard doing podcasts being called crazy. He'd be still on the red carpet, rubbing shoulders with all the bigwigs, right?
Yep. But just trying to imagine his personality type standing next to somebody like Tony Stark. Like, what's his name? What's Tony Stark's guy's name?
Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, Robert. Just imagine him like on a red carpet experience. Like, imagine Terrence Howard right now, who he is, to the character of the person of who he is, because he's playing a character anyways. But imagine him like standing next to Robert Downey Jr. or whatever, like having a conversation. Like, I couldn't even see it. Like, I couldn't even see, because like Robert Downey Jr. has such a fake facade, but when you hear Terrence Howard talk, like he would have to be a totally different person, because the facade Terrence Howard puts out is like straight up conspiratorial, like crazy person.
I mean, you know, the funny thing is, I'll say this, is that if you watch the first Iron Man movie, Terrence Howard's good. Like, I think he's a much better actor than Don Cheadle. Like, much better. So I remember when he was replaced, I thought, Don Cheadle did not fit. So Terrence Howard was a better actor. Well, again, it might not have been about money. But, so, I mean, I think all of these actors are obviously really eccentric when you actually sit them down and talk to them. So him being a little bit weird is really not the reason you don't get roles in Hollywood. It's because you're not willing to bend over and just take whatever they're giving you. All right, I'm going to play one more video. This is a short one. I just thought this had some really interesting things, and this also relates to the movie stuff we were just talking about.
Here are some fully insane things that have happened during the making of movies. While they were filming The Poltergeist, this actress had to unknowingly swim with real skeletons because they were cheaper than fake ones. The chocolate river in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory was real chocolate milk that completely spoiled and apparently smelled horrible. Like, the actors were actually getting sick on set. They were shooting Rocky IV. Sylvester Stallone asked Dolph Lundgren to hit him for real, and he hit him so hard that Stallone spent 9 days in the ICU with a swollen heart. In Magnolia, the raining frogs aren't fake. Those are real frogs that they dropped from a crane because they thought it would look more realistic. This one's so crazy. The entire movie of Toy Story 2 was accidentally deleted when someone hit the wrong command on their computer. They couldn't reverse it or recover it, and the only reason we have the movie is because an employee just randomly made a backup one time at home. In Marie Antoinette, Kirsten Dunst and the other actresses had to wear historically accurate corsets, so they couldn't even eat properly during filming. Jim Carrey's costume in The Grinch was so unbearable, and he underwent CIA torture training just to get through it. To mentally prepare for his role in Requiem for a Dream, Jared Leto lived for 3 weeks as a homeless heroin addict. I'm not even kidding. No, he actually said he did this. Like, what does he mean? He did heroin to prepare for this role? Like, you could just, I don't know, be an actor. Like, what a concept.
Okay, real quick. So the parts I want to focus on here, in the Poltergeist, they used real corpses, real skeletons, which is similar. If you ever heard the Pirates of the Caribbean ride at the original Disneyland, they used to have real skeletons in there. And they said they got the skeletons from like some prison. So like real skeletons of real scoundrels dressed up like, and that was what they said, is that they were more realistic. But that's dark. That's really dark to do that. The other part, raining frogs. So they killed real frogs for that scene. That's weird.
Sounds like witchcraft to me.
It does. But the thing that really stood out to me is that Jim Carrey need to prepare for the Grinch by subjecting himself to real CIA torture tactics. Hello? Are they just straight up saying this is about MK Ultra, Project Monarch, all the things?
This is a ritual for sure. That's a definitely seems like a ritual to me for sure. Like, I think that's a pretty unusual sort of. I feel like I could have done so many other things that were less painful.
Well, I mean, you know what I'm saying, though, that like what we're saying is like about like the ritual stuff, like that if some person was into the dark arts, as Christopher Lee was talking about, if you were on a set of a kind of a horror movie and they killed like, I don't know, like 1,000 frogs, however many frogs that was, do you think that has any kind of significance with like black magic and stuff like that?
Definitely ritual. That's like leg of a frog, eye of a newt, boil and boil.
Right.
Like, definitely something wrong there. Definitely something wrong.
Or corpses, like real skeletons in this scene with the poltergeist.
That's
another
a demonic ritual.
Super demonic movie.
Totally demonic ritual. That's crazy that they would use real corpses and whatever. Dude, that is so disturbing.
Yeah, that's dark. That's disrespectful to the dead too. It's just like it's really dark.
Who was that person? That was they're just corpse one. Like, that person had a name.
Yeah, that's really disgusting. And yeah, even Jared Leto supposedly said he lived as a heroin addict on the streets to prepare for a role where he's going to do that. Jared Leto, super demonic, really demonic guy. He's got a lot of connections with, I think, Marina Abramovic and all that stuff too. And like the connections he has, really satanic. But yeah, Jim Carrey, nobody should be surprised that guy underwent some kind of CIA torture program. And that's why, again, he seems really disturbed. Really talented.
Is.
I mean, really talented at what he did. But I mean, sometimes you got to wonder if there was more to it, that he was so good at emulating people and changing his voice and just being like really getting into character. I wonder if that's how he got into character, is because he was a Fed.
Or he was embodying demonic spirits and doing ritual sacrifice stuff.
Right. Is that why he underwent a torture program with the CIA? Is that so he could embody this Grinch spirit and be ultra weird?
It's all demonic. It's demons, guys. It's demons. Hollywood is full of them.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, this was such a dark episode. I mean, pretty dark. It was like something about death and torture and molestation, maybe. So I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry about it. Again, like, we just kind of go where the theme takes us, and this is where it took us. But I mean, again, ultimately, pray for these people. Pray for these people, especially the sickos in Hollywood, because it's the sick that need a physician. And we know that Jesus is the Prince of Peace. He's the healer. We believe in the power, the saving grace of Jesus Christ. So always leave you with that note on a positive spin, is that, but at the same time, know that these people are trying to influence you in the ways that they've been influenced. So be careful.
Yep. All right, guys.
We appreciate you hanging out with us. Guys, be sure to check out the sponsor, Modern Roots Life. Help you guys out, help me out, help them out. Win-win-win. Anyways, Brian, you got anything coming up on the next Ancient Angels podcast?
Oh, yeah. The next Ancient Angels is going to be very interesting. Talking about, I believe, we're going to go about some history. There might be one that we're doing right now that I'm supposed to be jumping on a podcast right now with, that is more about the Little Season. So those who want to know more about the Little Season, jump on.
Everybody on this channel loves to hear about the Little Season. So that's awesome, guys. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Love you guys. God bless.
Bye.
everyone left me, everyone deserted me, Jesus was always there. When everyone hated me and walked away, Jesus never walked away.